Hello and welcome back Necron players. So today's review will be based on ORIKAN the Diviner. So we've only touched on a few of the named characters within the book, covering Imhotep the Stormlord, Illumina Zaraz and the Silent King. So if you've yet to see those videos, I'll put a clickable link in the corner now for our Necron playlist. You'll find them in there with all of our other Necron reviews since the Codex was released. So in today's videos then, the Diviner is costing you 6 power level or 110 points. There's no upgrades with the datasheet, so what you see is what you get. He does have some interesting keywords, so he is a character, he's got the Dynastic Agent keyword, he's a Chronomancer, a Cryptek and an infantry unit. So no dynasty keyword here due to him being a dynastic agent. We cannot benefit from any codes and any dynasty specific stratagems. He's also got that Cryptek and Chronomancer keyword, which does interact with a few other things within the book, but he is a named character so he cannot take any Cryptek Arcana. So his stat line is as follows: movement 5-inch, weapon skill 3+, ballistic skill 3+, strength 4, toughness 4, wounds 5, attacks 2, leadership 10 and a 4+ save. So pretty similar stats to the Chronomancer's stat line, except he's not going 8-inch with his movement. He does however have an additional wound and additional attack over him. Now he does have another stat line which transitions me nicely into his abilities section of the review. So starting with the main rule, which is the stars are right. So in the command phase, if the model is on the battlefield, you roll a d6. If the result is less than the current battle round number, then until the end of the battle, use the ORIKAN empowered profile for this model. Note that any wounds lost will remain lost. So the empowered stat line is movement 5-inch, weapon skill 2+, ballistic skill 2+, strength 7, toughness 7, wounds 5, attacks 4, leadership 10 and a 4+ save. So drastic changes to his stat lines there. I'll put both on the screen now for you so you can actually see what the changes are when he hulks up. So the further in the game you are, the more likely you are to roll less than the battle round number. For turn 1, of course, it's impossible to do this, so no need to roll in that turn. You can get quite lucky rolling a 1 on turn 2 and it will increase each turn, so the odds are 50-50 when you get to turn 4. As you require 3s or less to pull it off. Now unfortunately 9th edition is only 5 turns, whereas in 8th edition you had a fair chance of it going to turn 6 or even turn 7. So there is actually a chance now that you may not even empower him in a game. Or even if you do, you may roll it too late and it might not have any effect in the game whatsoever. So I'd suggest not to rely on this happening if you do field him. Field him for his base stats, and if he does hulk up it is a bonus. Also worth a mention that this roll is not re-rollable in any shape or form this edition. So then he's got the Living Metal ability, regaining a lost wound in the command phase, and he's got command protocols, which is our special buffs for each battle round but are predetermined before the battle. Now he's also got Master Chronomancer. So in the command phase you select a friendly Necron unit within 9-inch of the model, and until the start of the next command phase you can reroll charge rolls for the unit, and also they get 5+ invuln save. So this is the same ability that the Chronomancer has with its Chronometron, except this can be used on any dynasty. So if you're playing multiple dynasties within the list, you can buff both. You can also buff dynasty agents such as Triumph Praetorians, giving them a much needed invuln save, and it also actually works with your Catan charge too. Next, he's got Prescient Strike. At the start of the fight phase, if the model is within engagement range of enemy models, it can fight first that phase. So now he is a melee based character, so he will make use of this. Then finally he's got the Time Splitter Mantle, which gives the model a 4+ invuln save. So that's his abilities. Moving on to the weapons, he is equipped with a Staff of Tomorrow, which is a melee weapon. His Strength User, making it a Strength 4, -3 AP, and the damage is D3. Now each time you make an attack with a weapon, invuln saving throws cannot be taken against this attack. Now I do like the fact that it removes invuln saves, but when he isn't empowered, he's only got 2 attacks base and hits on 3s. He will on average hit 1.3 times. It's only Strength 4, so it does require force to wound against standard toughness 4 models, and it will likely go through armor, resulting in killing a single Primaris Space Marine each time he fights. Not that great. When he does hulk up, he's a bit more of a menace. Now with 4 attacks hitting on 2s, you can expect an average of 3.3 hits now, and wounding anything toughness 6 or less on 3s, giving you about 2.2 wounds going through. On average, you're only killing 2 Primaris Marines this time in total though. Now he can go for toughness 7 vehicles, but the problem is the damage being only D3, so it's very hit and miss against bigger targets. It's also not very effective against anything that's got 3 wounds, such as Terminators, as you're not likely to score a 3 on the D3 roll for the damage. The going through invuln save ability is nice, but realistically if something that has an invuln save is likely to have 3 wounds or more, killing is a bit of a problem. Unfortunately he's got no range attacks, so that's all the damage output you can expect from him. So ORIKAN has a pre-built Warlord trait if you decided to field him as your Warlord, which is Immortal Pride, which is a 5+ field no pain save against mortal wounds. And also core units within 6 inches ignore modifiers for combat attrition tests, so it's a bit so-so this Warlord trait. Not the best trait here, but that's what he has. Looking at the Codex for synergy, as mentioned, he can't be part of any dynasty, so skip over the dynasty code pages and move on to the stratagems list. You've got Resurrection Protocols for 1 CP, lets you stand him back up on a 4+ if he dies in the battle. He will have D3 wounds remaining when he does stand up. In fact, this is the only stratagem that can actually affect him from the book. Now, Cryptek Arcana and Relics are out the window due to him being a named character. Then other than the already mentioned Praetorians, he does synergize well with Cryptothralls, 40 points for 2 models, and they don't take up a detachment slots. They are pretty good and almost an auto-include if you take a Cryptek, as not only do they provide their own version of a Lookout Sir, which prevents even snipers from targeting the Cryptek, but they also have their own stat boost when they're near the Cryptek and actually get a combined total of 12 attacks at strength 5 in melee. I also like to consider these wounds as part of the Cryptek's own wounds tally, as you pretty much have to kill them first before getting to the Cryptek. So in this case, Orikan combined with the 2 Cryptothralls has a total of 9 wounds, which massively adds to his survivability. Then add living metal on top of that. So in conclusion, for Orikan then, he costs 30 points more than a standard Chronomancer, yet he can't take any Arcana or any relics, so not a great start. He's got no ranged weapon like the Chronomancer. In fact, the Chronomancer has a strength 8 entropic lance, which is pretty good. Now, this is a support character after all, and the damage output isn't what I should be judging him on, but it is worth mentioning that the Chronomancer is easily a better option. Now, he can buff Catan Shards and Triumph Praetorians in particular, which is quite rare in the book, giving a Praetorian an invuln save, and a reroll to charge is pretty huge for them. However, for the privilege, you do have to pay 110 points for that. So if you are using a 5-man unit of Triumph Praetorians, split Orikan's cost value of 110 points 5 ways will make 22 points. Then you have to ask yourself, would you pay 22 points per man for that invuln save and the reroll to charge? Probably not. I just get a better unit such as Wraiths, which are only 10 points a model more, or 15 with their casters. And they've got an extra rune too. Now, if you did take a 10-man unit of Praetorians, then splitting Orikan's cost 10 ways is only 11 points a model, which holds much better value. So if you are taking a 10-man unit, then he is worth it. And if you aren't, then there's just better options for HQs as well as your melee units. As for his empowered stat line, it's not common enough that you're going to get it, and when you need it, you may not even get it at all. I mean, in turn 5, you still need to roll a 4 or less, so there is half a chance in that turn of not getting it at all, and that's the final turn. If you do get it, it is okay, but we did do the breakdown of damage output, and there's not that much there really. Okay, his toughness does increase, which is a big factor with his survivability. Now, as mentioned, if you do take a large unit without an invuln save, then it can be worth it, especially a melee unit. I mean, a 10-man unit of Lichguard without the dispersion shield is a solid combo too, as you can retain your strength 7 war scythes and still have some sort of invuln save. Okay, it's not a 4+ invuln save that the shield gives you, but it's not bad. Add the rerolls to charge on top, it's a solid investment. If you're not opting to take those types of units, then I see absolutely no use for this unit. So this almost counts him out of any small games. Now, if you are playing a larger game and you're taking big units of Praetorians, then you should just be fielding a Silent King. He buffs them a lot better than this Cryptek does. Also worth noting here, he doesn't have the Dynastic Advisors rule, so he will always take up a detachment slot. So even if you do play a larger game where you're wanting to buff Praetorians, it's going to take up a HQ slot, which is quite competitive in the book. And in a large game, you're going to want your bigger, badder HQs in the battle. So as far as the rating goes, I'm giving Orikan the Diviner a Planet 40k rating of 1.5 out of 5. I'm sure some of you guys will have ways of fielding him, but I personally don't see the need. Smaller games he's just overshadowed by a Chronomancer, and in larger games he's just taking up a vital slot in the detachment. That leaves mid-sized games which are quite squeezed for points, as Necrons are quite an expensive army points for points. Also, it's not great he can't take any Arcana. That would at least give him some sort of flexibility within the unit. No Relic as well. His Warlord trait is pretty bland too. So that's my thoughts and my review on him. Let me know yours below. If you do field him, what do you do with him? How do you use him? Let us all know. So guys and girls, don't forget to check out our Patreon service for those early access videos and polls and all that other good 40k related stuff. It massively helps in funding the channel, so take a look at that if you can. You can find us on both Twitter and Instagram, to where at some point in 2021 we are going to begin doing giveaways to our followers and patrons. So give us a follow on both of those to keep on top of that. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are new. Then finally, remember to like the video on the way out. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.